It's not about all the classes that we take and the mesh yoga pants and the charcoal lemonades. It's about resilience. It's about gratitude. It is about being of service to others. And it's about being fucking real. And if you can't be real, how could you ever be well?
You're listening to the Almost 30 podcast, a lifestyle podcast hosted by Krista Williams and Lindsay Simsick.
Tune in for a new episode every Tuesday to hear our honest conversations about topics like wellness, entrepreneurship, spirituality, and self-development with guests who are really smart, really inspirational,
and really fucking funny. It's real, it's raw, and it's unfiltered.
Inspired by our transition from our 20s to our 30s, we realized it's so much more than that. Our mission is to provide you with the tools, guidance, and motivation to help you navigate any transitions in your life and propel your personal growth.
Thanks so much for tuning into the Almost 30 podcast.
Here we go. Staring at your beautiful face on a screen. I wish I could do it all day. Hey guys, welcome to the Almost 30 podcast. You caught us.
Everyone.
You caught us.
You caught us slipping.
Mid-afternoon slip. Not really a slip. We're just kind of going with the flow. We thought actually it would be cute to make it sound like Chris and I were just calling each other like on our room phones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're just trying to mix it up. We were in the car a lot today. We were real busy today. So I did not want to drive over onto the east side of LA. I just wanted to relax.
I wish you guys could see Krista's headset. It's actually what I dreamed of having when I was like 14 and had my own room phone.
Yeah, I have a headset and I'm just stretching on the ground.
I want
stretching in the clam position. Got my little pussy on the ground.
Tell me about it's going rogue over there in bed.
This is what I do every night. Justin's like, please, will you just cuddle and watch TV with me? And I'm like on the ground in like a pretzel. I'm just like, oh, my hip flexors.
Ask him to help you stretch. That's sexy.
I do. And he like tries for 1 second.
Oh, cool.
He's like, he like pushes it back and he's like, okay, I'm done.
Whenever like a guy's like, oh, okay, I'll give you a massage. I'm like,
they blow at it.
Literally, I'm like, okay. And then I turn away and I like roll my eyes because I'm like, it's not going to be good.
And they try for 1 second. They're like, sure, here you go. And you're like,
is this enough?
That's not trying. Yeah. Like you suck at that.
Oh man. What are you stretching from? That Tracy Anderson girl?
Yeah. Guys, went to the TA.
Give us your honest review. Or do you not want to?
Let's just say that I didn't feel like, if you're a normal human and you want to feel large and in charge, step a foot into TA studio and you'll feel large and in fucking charge. My thing was that, I think it's a great workout. I think it works, whatever. But my instructor looked at a fucking sheet the whole time and didn't introduce herself or make eye contact with anyone. So no matter the class, that doesn't work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, group fitness, it's all about like group energy and engaging and like
just like say hi, like
100%.
You know what I mean? I'm like, and I didn't really, but I went with Jenna Zoe, so that was really fun. Human design.
Remember Jenna Zoe
from the human design episode? Get your human design chart or do your human design chart reading with her. Changed my life. Honestly, the best. Oh, and another thing, Natalie Miles. The intuitive. You guys should also see her. We saw her. She's going to be on the podcast, but that changed my life too.
Truly. It changed everything.
What do you think was the most impactful thing she said to you?
The most impactful thing she said to me was, and something that I've known, the fact that you're not writing is blocking you from more than just opportunity, like monetary opportunity. It is blocking you in so many other ways. You need writing. So that's why I'm like making shifts in my other areas of work to make more time for writing, for the podcast, and for just creating more space. I think we get so caught up in like, well, I need to make this much money and I need to be doing this many things because I went to school for this, that, and the other thing. It's like, I don't know. I have a very clear idea of like what I want to do and what I'm good at. And I need to be making more time for those things and stop worrying about like paying bills. I think it'll fall into place. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think we just worry too much.
100%. I know I never thought the fear was so real until I was like sitting there today. I was talking to my sister and I was like, I'm so scared I don't think that I am, but I am very scared to jump in.
We're talking about jumping in kind of full time. We're
yes. I guess
I
want to dance around it.
Yeah. We're making this public. We want to make almost 30. As you guys know, we hustle on many other things, full-time jobs, all of that. So, we're making the shift, and it's just, it's like a little like,
it's scary, man.
It's a life preserver, those little things. But we got to make the jump, and we will. Time's coming. And I think it's good that it's scary.
Just weird. Because I see myself as like kind of like I don't really have a lot of fear, but I'm like, oh, this is like a fear. I'm like, this is interesting. It's like a fear that I have.
I'll keep you posted. If you see us under the bridge, you'll know.
Yeah, literally. Please send money to me.
We'll be living, instead of like flying to our cities, we'll be just walking. We're going on tour, guys. We're walking here.
Yeah, literally. We're going on tour, but it's actually, we're homeless and we don't have anywhere else to go. So it's kind of a tour. It's kind of like, we're kind of hitchhikers. It's like a little mix of both. Kind of like selling our body to get from city to city, but whatever.
We can gotta do what you gotta do. Our phone bill, we'll Insta story it. You'll be able to see it all.
Oh my gosh.
So we're going on tour, guys, and we're coming to San Francisco, Boston, New York, Chicago, Toronto, Austin, Dallas. As of now, we're adding more cities.
We're adding more cities. So
in the fall. So stay tuned for that.
I think something too. So like a lot of our listeners that we talk to, like anytime you DM us or, whatever, like we both respond and like have full conversations. I have conversations with like every single one of you. It is hard if you're not in a major city. Like I definitely recognize and respect that. And I don't want to, I know that's so hard, and I don't want you to think that like we don't, you're not important and that we don't think about you, because we think about you every time we do anything, so I know that's really hard, and I just want to like recognize that. So
absolutely. Our dream would be to, you think we're kidding, like being actually on the ground, like in like a POV, that would be a dream, to be coming to, your town. Because, you're doing something special, and we would love to just meet all of you. So that is also kind of a vision of ours that hopefully will happen sometime in the near future. But let us know if you're in or around those cities. And, we'd love
I had a funny thing like written in a note that I wanted to talk about on the podcast. That's our tour song.
Back in Black?
I think so. Right?
AC/DC?
Yeah, I think so.
I can't believe I heard that out of that.
Yeah.
You're a beatboxer.
Anyways, I don't have it.
All right, well, next time. We're about to record 85 more intros, so
I know.
About. All right, so today on the podcast, guys, we're super, super excited. We have Candice Kumai.
Oh, sweet angel Candice. So Candice is another one. She's the real deal. Like came over to Lindsay's and I on Sunday afternoon, brought us the most amazing cookies.
How quickly did you finish yours? Because
I forced Justin to eat one. I was like, will you fucking eat one? He's like, sure. Like, I'll probably eat it later. I'm like, no, you got to eat it now. I'm like, I don't think you understand. There's like a 5-minute window here that I really need your support on. And I really need you to eat this cookie, or I'm going to cover it in ketchup.
I think I threw mine over the fence. One of them.
Oh my God.
You're going.
Literally, I was like, oh, I've had 4. You need to do that. Like sometimes you just need to chuck.
You're like, oh gosh.
Literally.
Or just dunk it in water.
Water is not, will not stop me. Water, that just helps, get it
to go down. Oh,
yeah. That's just pre-digestive. Like, Pre-digestive chatter. But anyway, so Candice is the best. She is so sweet. She is funny. She is fun. She's engaging. I felt like we were hanging out with another one of our girlfriends. We got to go to her pre-lunch book party with her and had so much fun with her. And I actually saw her working out like a few days later.
She's so hot. She's
so hot.
She's an internationally renowned wellness writer, chef, and content creator. She was described by Elle magazine as the golden girl of the wellness world. And, it's just very holistic how she looks at wellness. And her new book, Kintsugi, is beautiful. Kintsugi Wellness. It's stunning. An homage to her heritage. She's Japanese American. I just think it's something so different and such a different take on how to approach wellness.
I felt like it's so fresh. Like I love Japanese culture. Like I think it's so fascinating and so cool. Justin actually is like, he's very interesting. Like he has his like little things and he's always loved Japanese culture, like Japanese style, Japanese art, Japanese like movies. He's like very into it. So I've always loved it too. And I love how she integrated her culture and her heritage into this amazing book to take parts of it and apply them to wellness that we can all understand and all digest. So it's different. It's unique. I've never heard of anyone doing that. And I really, really love that she's able to do that in that book.
Yeah, I agree. So we get into it not only about health and wellness, but we talk about like love and relationships, about social media. We talk about her family, just lots of different transitional times in her life that she was really honest about. And I know you guys will be able to relate.
Yes. And so in this episode, we did talk about the book. We talked about her journey to where she is today. We kind of, we go everywhere in this. So her career is super multifaceted and dynamic. So we touch on a lot of those different places. We talk about, when things got hard, what she did. We talk about like haters. We talk about, what it takes to get where she is and how you never, even if you seem so established like she is, she's accomplished so much. Sometimes it's hard to see that, when you're kind of in it in the day to day. But we're really excited to introduce you to her and then also to check out our Instagram because we have a giveaway happening with some of her books that are signed.
Yeah. So stay tuned for that. You can go to CandiceKumai.com, CandiceKumai.com, get her book and learn more about Candice. So enjoy, guys. Thanks so much for subscribing, rating, and reviewing. If you love this episode or any other episode, share with your friends.
Share with your friends. Check out our Instagram for information on how to win one of her books. I think we have 3 or 4 copies. So there's a great chance you could win.
Yeah. So we love you guys. Thanks so much for listening and enjoy this episode.
Enjoy.
This episode is brought to you by Cauliflower Foods for health-forward humans. I love that. We're so obsessed with one of our newest sponsors, Cauliflower, and they know that the way people eat is evolving. We want fewer, fresher ingredients and clean nutritional content. Period. I trust this brand so much. I am obsessed with their plant-based cauliflower crust. It is so good. If you follow me on Instagram and you saw my story a couple weeks ago, oh God, it's coming at you again. Just got my second shipment of cauliflower. Really, really simple ingredients, which I love. So I don't have to worry about what's in it because to be honest, I've seen other cauliflower crusts at Trader Joe's or from other brands. Trader Joe's has a lot of filler in it and the crust also has 102 carbs. Cauliflower only has 6 carbs for the entire crust. The entire crust. They have the only plant-based vegan option, which is my favorite. And their founder, Amy Lacey, created these crusts after her diagnosis with lupus, and she was forced to change her diet. These crusts are great for people who are keto on a low-carb diet, diabetic, have autoimmune diseases, celiac disease, and people who just want minimal ingredients in their food. And of course, pizza lovers. So we are so proud to have them as a sponsor and so happy that we get to give you a discount. So you can use our code ALMOST30, ALMOST30 for 10% off your purchase of $50 or more. And in your purchase, when you get your crust, you also get a really nice metal pan that you can bake your crust on so it's nice and crispy. Obsessed with this brand. Let us know what you get. Take pictures of what you make. Send it to us. Tag them. We love you. This episode is also brought to you by Vitruvi. We are obsessed with essential oils. It's become a staple in our self-care routine over at Almost 30. People come in to record with us and we have our diffusers going. Sometimes it freaks people out. I don't care. Vitruvi is a special brand that believes in taking the time for yourself. And that time is well spent. They make essential oils that elevate simple moments, you know? So you can be in the bath, you can be getting ready for bed, you could just be in your living room as you journal or watch your favorite episode, Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, which is my recent obsession. It was created out of a passion for botanicals and design. And, you know, these products look as beautiful as they smell. The oils are carefully sourced from over 30 countries and are all premium quality, as well as certified organic when possible. With oils like organic French lavender and Italian sweet orange, you know you're getting the best in the world. And they do believe, like, these oils should not be so expensive that no one can afford them, or they feel like they're too precious to use. So since they're an online first company, they don't acquire traditional retail costs, which means they can sell premium 100% pure essential oil products directly to us without the markups. So yeah, their mission is simple: help take care of yourself so you can take on the world. And we believe in that wholeheartedly. So you can use our code Vitruvi X almost 30. So VITRUVIX almost 30 for 20% off your order at vitruvi.com. VITRUVI.com. Use our code Vitruvi X almost 30. Yeah, Krista's famous for exfoliating her lips on the mic. That's why we give her only that mic.
Yeah, I only it's got crust on it.
Oh my God, stop.
I'm going to rub my cystic acne
right now. Terrible.
I need to exploit my cystic acne.
Quiet. We can talk about that too.
I know.
I have a story for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About acne? Did you ever
We're
have
on,
it?
by the way. We just roll in. We roll in.
So when did you have acne?
That was well, we shouldn't start with this because this is like not fabulous.
It's funny.
You should wait till you hear the intro.
Okay, great. Well, I'll tell you about how I stopped.
How'd you stop it?
Mainly by not eating a ton of sugar anymore. Yeah, it was amazing. It's usually women get it because they took birth control and they stopped taking it. And it's called an acneic eruption and nobody talks about it. We were shooting like in HD when it happened to me and it was an issue. It was a cycle of like covering it up and
totally
don't come too
this
close
might be
to
what
me.
mine is right now because I went off birth control in December, but I was cool for a little bit.
Yeah.
And it might be coming up.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell. Mine is real bad.
We can talk about it. It's painful too, right? Sometimes they actually
hurt.
Yeah.
Painful to look at.
Well, no, you are both stunning. I think you have to remember that it will pass. Like everything else, it will pass. It will pass. Time is like the ultimate healer. And I hate to say that like a fucking wellness guru.
You are.
But
like an old sage.
But it's true. It's so
Yeah.
true. We'll talk about that because I know there's a lot of examples of that in your journey, but we're so excited to have you here. This has been a long time coming. Our mutual friend, James Higa, just could not say enough about you and your journey and like how he's seen you grow and the things that you've had to overcome in order to bring this baby into the world, this new book. And I'm just so excited to dig in with you because you're just so real. Like in this wellness space.
You have so many facets. Like I'm like, what?
This wellness space is like, saturated and it is hard as fuck to like stand out.
Right.
Stand out in an authentic way. And like you're doing it. So I'm just like, I'm pumped.
How do you have so many facets though? It's like chef, top chef, model, Japanese American, you know what I mean? On TV always, an author, like wellness, fitness. It's like crazy.
I love you guys. You too. Seriously.
Come here every day. We will tell you this every day.
Coming to pods is like a fucking revelation coming from TV and magazines and publishing and books. Oh yeah.
Don't you want to?
Because all they did was tear me down into a little girl not let me be me for my entire career. And then when I started writing, I was like, well, this is the way that I'm able to express myself freely and openly. And if some motherfucker wants to judge me on Instagram, go for it. Like, be my guest.
Fuck yeah.
Because it happens. Yeah. It's going to happen. And the a bigger your audience gets, I've also learned the haters are going to come out of the woodwork and their little troll holes, and they're going to like come after you.
What do you do about them?
So, you try to ignore them, number one, and just you try to come to the realization internally with one's soul and spirit, like that this is part of the process. And you just have to trust that you can't let these people bother you because that's what they want. So you have to like, there's a term in my work and books now that I use called gaman, and it's with great resilience. And so what you do is you really have to put on and just channel the positive people just like you two who've praised your work. Like I was saying, old school media, TV, books, mags, all that. So for so long, they wouldn't let me be attractive. They didn't want me to be thin. They didn't want me to be feminine. I wasn't really allowed to ever be myself. And it's like, I couldn't tell either of you to not be hot and fun and young and sexy because that is who you are. But at the same time, they did that to me and they put me in clothing that was baggy. My hair always had to be up on Cook Yourself Thin. I wasn't allowed to wear a ton of makeup on that show. And my hair was always like in a high pony with baggy clothes. And I mean, that kind of fucked up with my head.
Why?
Yeah, I don't know, because somebody at the network was insecure about me. And that means that they were insecure.
Wow.
So coming into my own now, after being in media for so long, I've realized a lot of this shit was never about me to begin with. Yeah. It was about other people's fears and insecurities. For instance, some of the networks that I work with still to this day won't overhaul their talent. They won't let anybody new in because they're so fucking afraid of change. And so I love podcasts and I love both of you, Lindsay and like Krista, because it's like what you're doing is so real. Like I always laugh, like we're all so poor that we have to podcast now to like let our voices be heard. And why not slang rocks and show people what you're made of and do it the sort of like coming full circle, right? It's like the way radio once was back in the day is what podcasting is now. And it's you both allowing the freedom of you and who you truly are to shine, whether mainstream media wants it or not. They can go fuck themselves now for all I care because I'm not going to hide who I am anymore. And thank you for saying that, Krista. Somebody called me a multifaceted hustler the other day, a quote unquote that my agents fell in love with because they're like, it's actually pretty damn true.
Oh, yeah.
And what we learned from that in monetizing social and starting like blogs and podcasts and trying to actually survive off of them is that you can't be a one-trick pony ever. So you got to figure out a way to be good at many things. And what you truly need is just time, a lot of patience, and you need to work on your craft. So I always knew that I was really good at cooking, and I was denying my Japanese heritage for so long because I was trying to fit in because clean eating was the cool fucking thing, like 10 years ago when we pioneered that space. It meant a lot of pounding on the pavement when people weren't paying attention. And then all of a sudden when wellness like blew up, I was like, I don't even want to be a part of this because y'all are like not real. And if you're going to choose to party or do drugs or go out, that's fine. But like, don't act like you're fucking holier than thou. I know people that like hide that stuff from people. And I'm like, dude,
that's the way to connect. How do you
absolutely,
expect?
Absolutely. So truly, this is going to be the best hour ever because
that's true. We do know that's true. Enough about us, though. Enough about us. But I completely agree with you. I think the paradigm is shifting, and old traditional media is mainly led by men and has this like old. It's just like I look at TV now and I like laugh at TV. I'm like,
we all roll our eyes.
Honestly,
that's crazy.
I'm like, I feel bad for you. Like you're not with it. You know what I mean?
I get you, girl. I feel you, and that's why this weird magnetic energy connects all of us and has forever. Yeah. It would be really interesting to actually see how many mutual friends we have internally, even though I live out in New York now and you guys are in Cali. It doesn't matter. Like our mutual friends in San Francisco, like
I know.
And we didn't even know that until this morning. And it's so bizarre that you guys reached out to me at the beginning when I was like, oh, I'm not ready to do pods yet. I didn't realize even the value of how much you guys were going to back me compared to mainstream media. And you're absolutely right. I am so over.
Mainstream media needs someone else to validate you first.
They will not validate you first. They need someone else to validate you. It's like, oh, she's been on this show. She's been on that show. Then we'll have her. But podcasts, it's like, no, we want you on. So let's have you on.
It's amazing that you guys, you just get it. And I think that's another reason why you'll be at the forefront of your generation and you'll be able to lead a pack. And all you're doing is sharing your voice and your opinions and your thoughts freely and openly. And that's what America was built on. Mm-hmm. When my mother came to this country, she said she could not believe, she married my father who was in the US military. Mm-hmm. And she said she could not believe the use of free speech in the US, that people would just get up and say their opinions. Because we remember now that the Japanese culture is very group. They want you to fit in like a grain of rice in a bowl. Mm-hmm. And the more you fit in, the better. And if you try to stand out, they actually shun that in the culture. Mm-hmm. So being Japanese American, which is, it's so bizarre because that's how James Higa and I met, we're both on the Japanese American US Japan Council board. And I met him out in Hawaii many years ago. And I spoke about being a child of war and how war is what brought my mother and father together. Mm. Ironically, he was drafted into the US Navy, not by choice. And he's pretty smart where he said, he's like, well, if you didn't want to get slayed, you joined the U.S. Navy. So you were like away from the action. Wow. And mom was a Japanese school teacher in Tokyo. Wow. And they were at this Buddhist temple, Kamakura. It's very famous, and I want you both to go there one day. So they show up there both at the same time in the same place. My dad's with his sailor friends. My mom's like, I was just wanting to practice my English with them. And I was like, did you think dad was cute? And she goes, yeah, kind of cute. He was so handsome and she was so beautiful. And they essentially both said like, my religion is bullshit. So is yours because love conquers all. My mom's still Buddhist. He's still Christian, but they're both pretty good at practicing their religions and keeping them separate. And yet they allow my sister and I both to freely speak and do and be what we want. And I always think about how brave my mother was, like coming to the US to marry an American guy and to start a life here, first in Connecticut, then Arizona. They had my sister Jenny, and then they had me in San Diego, which is where they stayed. But if we want to talk about real wellness and where real sort of bravery and multitasking facets come in, it all stems from where you came from and what you learned as a child. And more often than not, your parents are the greatest storytellers and the greatest teachers in depicting where you're going to end up later on in life.
Can you talk? I hope not, honey. I hope not.
Krista defies it.
I'm literally talking. I'm like, well, I'm like, I love you.
But Krista, you're totally going to you'll feel these little parts of them. As I say in Kintsugi Wellness, Japanese children, they say this is a tome. Children watch what their parents do, not by what they say. They learn all by what they do.
Yeah, of course.
So it's true. Like there's certain things.
There's going to be traits that
absolutely.
I think.
No, there is a lot that I take on and that I do.
And you know what? If you're going to be that generation that has to fight against you want to learn and break the cycle, I commend you because that's one of the hardest things to do is to break the cycle. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's when you're in the womb, you're getting all the anxieties and pains of your mother, and it's kind of just like, then it comes through. Yeah. But yes, I completely agree.
Can you talk to us about your upbringing, what that was like?
Sure. Hi, mom. Use your mom's. You have to do your mom's voice every time. Yes.
Having a mic is a gift.
Isn't it fun? People are like, I hate hearing my voice. I'm like, I love it. I'm like, I love to hear me talk.
Every day.
Oh my God. Okay. So when we were growing up, it was San Diego. It was predominantly white. So what I write about in the first or second chapter, which is based off of Wabi Sabi, which is perfectly imperfect celebration. The Japanese really, truly love objects that are imperfect, but that goes for a metaphor to who you are as a person as well. Because, sure, I have a secret crush on somebody right now, and I think he's kind of too fabulous. Yeah. And then I'm like, wait, there's got to be something about him that's not absolutely perfect. Yeah. Have yet to learn a ton yet, but I think that's what makes people pretty fascinating. So in the Wabi Sabi chapter, I write about how I look different. I was raised by immigrant parents. We ate different foods. We grew up like in a totally different mixed culture home. But I always, at the end of the day, really liked who I was. Like I was funny. I was crazy. I loved being active. In preschool, they were like, you better get your kid into sports right now. So my mom was like, okay, we bring you to soccer because you are so active and crazy. So
we let you loose on the field.
Oh, yeah. We are going to watch you play. And your father, he comes to every game. And he really did. He was such a good dad. He never missed one game in my entire life.
That.
And I played up until high school, AA soccer. And soccer taught me how to be a team player, but it also showed me, because I was a right forward, that I was a boss, like at an early age. And I didn't want that to really come out because I got teased when I was little for being Japanese, and I didn't know why. And I also grew up with the name Candice Kumai Gwizdowski. So people knew that my parents were mixed, which wasn't that common back in like the 80s and 90s in San Diego. So the tough part was the teasing stays with you for a really long time. And it happened in junior high and high school also. And then in college at Long Beach State, I met other girls that looked like me. And I was like, wow, you guys are fucking hot. Like, I get it.
Yeah. Like Hawaiian Tropic models. You're like,
oh my God.
Did you, like, what did people make fun of you and say?
Well, you know, they teased me and said like they would use, excuse me for saying this, but like chink or something like that. And I was like, well, I'm not even Chinese, but okay. And I know other girls and boys listening are going to relate to this. Like if you were like Latino, you might be called, you know, I'm not going to say all the slurs, but growing up, I watched other kids tease like the ethnic kids. And I was like,
damn, that is learned.
It's heavy, right? Yeah. And it's like, my sister, I remember she told me she got pushed off a slide once and was called like flat face or something. And I was like, God, kids are so nasty.
Wow, kids are fucking evil.
They're really mean. And some of them carry it with them. And then when I got older, my friends were like, we don't even notice that you're different like you. But they also fell in love with my mom. And I've been going to Japan since kindergarten. So there was this really big place in my heart for my bachan. And as you guys flip through the book, you'll see pictures of me as a kid with my grandparents. And you'll find in no way possible would you not be able to fall in love with this story, because I wrote this book to change lives. So once I was in high school, I was pretty social and I ran for like vice president and things like that and played volleyball, and I think I dated the quarterback or whatever at one point.
I dated every quarterback.
Yeah, and really like pretty typical, but always just had more fun. Like wasn't really the girl that always had to have a boyfriend, like really enjoyed single life. And then if my friends ever had a word to describe me, it's like she's just seriously the best time ever. Like Candice is just fun. And then if you fast forward to college, I wung it. I was like, I'm just going to speak in interpersonal and organizational communications because I could go to the comm class like hungover and give the best speech out of the whole class. And then after that, I took a year off to just model all over the world. And it was predominantly fit modeling and print modeling. And then
how'd you get discovered? Sorry.
That was
I'm still waiting, so I just want to see if our stories are going to line up.
I'll give you there's a lot of agents around here. Krista will set you up after this. There's a lot of agencies around here.
I know.
So my measurements met what a fit model typically is. And in college, one of my girlfriends, Natasha, was a big fit model. And we all like substituted for each other, or like if somebody looked like they had a great shape, it was like a sisterhood, wanted to help each other out.
Did the same thing.
Yeah. So we gave each other like jobs, and my best friend Steph and I would sub for each other. And it was really hard to leave that industry because it is extremely lucrative. It is extremely flex and is extremely like low key. Like you don't have to really do much except stay the same size. When I decided to go to culinary school was when everything shifted. I had to stay the same size and fit model in order to pay for culinary school because my mom said, you can cook for your friends, but you are not going to cook for a living, okay? And it was when I was like 21 or 22, I told her, I was like, I don't want to just model anymore. This is so dumb. Even though I made tons of money, I was like, very. And I would stand there, I remember like in my head and dream about what I wanted to do with my real life while they were pinning, it could be I did everything, mainly swimwear.
Okay.
So I did lots at like Calvin Klein, Nautica, like Hurley, Betsy Johnson.
Was that in New York or here? Both?
Roxy, all over Southern California, mostly. Yeah. Then I did a ton of denim. Mm-hmm. Oh, that sounds like we were in a cave.
Now I get your mom there too. God.
I did tons of denim, like out in LA, and then they flew me all over the world to do knits, wovens, and denim. And it was interesting. It taught me how to be a hustler, taught me how to manage my money, taught me how to fucking pioneer shit, be my own person, and it taught me how to be kind to people and how to work it because. You were not going to get clients if people didn't like you. At the end of the day, if you had the measurements and you were a piece of shit, you would not want to pin on you all day. Yeah. So they liked personality, which is where it always comes in handy to be a good person. And at the end of the day, after writing this book, I think you'll see through kintsugi, gaman, wabi-sabi, kyotsukete, ganbatte, all the Japanese practices that mean different things, you'll start to see these little flickers of what my mother taught me and my sister while growing up. And when I wrote this book, it was after the most traumatic breakup I've ever had. All of it came out onto the pages. Like, it was almost like my entire life had washed over. And it was like, it's okay to start over and shift into what you believe is real now, because there are a lot of fakes out there and you got to watch out. But back to the story, after fit modeling and modeling, I started to figure out that I really loved food, and I enrolled myself into culinary school on my own at Le Cordon Bleu, California School of Culinary Arts in Pasadena. I checked out the CIA in New York, but it was too far from my modeling clients. And in order to monetize culinary school and keep the money going, I had to stay in LA. So I moved up to Pasadena on my own. I had 2 little cats, I remember, and my friends would come visit me there. My parents would visit. And I paid my way through. And when I graduated, or right before the end of school, a Top Chef called and they were like, hey, we want you to be on the first season of our show.
How'd they know about you?
Well, I was taking an intro 2 class on meats. And I remember crumpling up the piece of paper after studying for the test and flipping it over. And I was like, what's this? And it was Bravo's logo. And it said, from the producers of Project Runway comes Top Chef. And it was... Nobody knew what it was. Yeah. And I read it and I was like, this is fucking weird. And I was like, should I go to the casting? To my friends, and they're like, hell yeah, you got to go.
I mean, yeah.
So that's what happened. That's how it started. And Randy and Danielle, who casted the first few seasons, were like, oh, girl, you are a shoo-in.
I was going to say.
Well, you know what? At the time, who knew?
I know.
Fucking knew.
Who
knew?
That's true.
It's so true. Like, we were all a bunch of nobodies, and we all were stuck in a house together in San Francisco.
I think I remember you.
They were crazy.
Yeah.
I called that guy a douchebag because he was.
You did?
Yeah, he was.
How'd you get off? What happened?
I think it was a
gnocchi?
Challenge for...
Gnocchi's always hard.
No, I think it was a quiche.
People really fail at gnocchi. Quiche.
Not fabulous.
Hard to get it fluffy.
I mean, it was in a microwave. That was the challenge.
Oh, yeah. You're on an RV.
Fucking
gotta
quiche.
cook it with a microwave.
Quiche. I had to get over
crazy.
that. Yeah, but I wanted out like so bad because the people were really mean to me. And I don't know.
Because
they've got issues.
Talented and pretty and determined and wants to actually
learn the skills. Young. Yeah. Oh, and talk about Almost 30, my mom's favorite podcast title.
Yes, podcast
period. Compliments of Mom. Oh, I really like that name, Almost 30. So cute. So
we have to meet her. Will she be there on Saturday?
We can do a fake intro for her. I tried to invite them, but I don't know.
Okay.
We'll come to them.
We'll go to them.
Yeah.
So the commercial would go, best pod ever, Almost 30, endorsed by Candice Kumai's mother. I love it. So cute. Okay, so Top Chef was a blur. I got out, thank God. I took more time, cooked on the line, because Gail Simmons was actually really lovely to me and was like, Candice, I need you to go work on the line now. So I cooked at Roy's in downtown LA.
Yeah.
And at the Laguna Beach Ritz-Carlton. And I really I did work production for a while, and I made no money. And I was like, this isn't happening. And so I started writing and developing recipes. And then before you knew it, I was a host at HSN. So I got cast to move over to Florida and start hosting at 25. So Top Chef was 23. Struggling was like 24, 25. I finally get this gig at HSN. And at the same time, months later, Lifetime calls and they're like, we want you to be a host on this new show. So come out for it. I flew from Florida to New York and started testing for a new Lifetime series, Cook Yourself Thin. And then they had me on the show. And then they took me off the show for 9 months. And I went I lost my mind. Because at 25, when you get a gig and then you lose it, somebody was insecure at the network. And they were like, this girl's too thin and too pretty and too cool to be on our network. Yep. My agent was dying when he had to read those notes.
What's the title of the show?
Cook Yourself Thin. Girl, you and me both. And this is a true story. Like, my ex and I were big surfers. So at the time we were dating and we went to Tonga to try to forget about it. And we were in like a grass hut and I've got like sunscreen on my face, like bikinis everywhere, like a surfboard in my hand. And my agent, Joe Labraccio at the time, called and he's like, Candice, he's like, you're not going to believe this, but they want you back on the show and you need to be back in New York in 2 days. And I was like, Joe, this is not funny. I'm here trying to get over the rejection at 25 of not being on this series. And he's like, Candice, I'm not joking. They said they made a horrible mistake. And so I had to throw all my bikinis and all that shit back in the suitcase, reroute through New Zealand all the way back to LA, throw like coats and
you get to New York,
pants.
You're like, all I have is bikinis.
I was when I landed there, everybody on set was like, dude, Candice, you look like you just came from Tonga. I was like, I did.
Yeah, you're like, am I too attractive?
No, I was like, it looked like exactly. And it looked like I was so like on another island forever. So what TV does, and I also got a pilot on Food Network after that, and they did the same thing. They strung me along for 9 months unpaid. And at the end of the day, they ran my tape up to the top at Food Network and they said, she's just too green. We really love her, but she's just too green. And they never gave me a series, which is seriously, in anyone's opinion, including all like 10 of my agents at WME IMG, a crock of shit. Because everybody knows I could have run the best food show at 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. I could have started a whole new wave of viewership and leadership with women and young women and Asian women and women of color, and they chose not to, which is great because you know what? I was ruined after that happened. I remember like coming back to my ex-boyfriend that, you know, you start seeing your exes when you're in those sad places.
Oh, yes.
And he was like, I'm really sorry this happened, but he's like, Candice, I've never seen you like so low. And because I never got that regular series, my head of casting at the time, this amazing woman, Beth Burke, came to me and she goes, I know who you are and I know what you're capable of. Now keep writing and prove everybody wrong. And this is like at a low point where I had a breakup with that surfer boyfriend and moved back to Southern California.
Surfer boyfriends never last.
Yeah, this is kind of true. He's too bro.
Yeah.
But like we had a great time, but at the same time, definitely not meant to be. So I'm like at my parents now, 26, 27, writing a book called Pretty Delicious after Cook Yourself Thin came out and hit the New York Times bestseller list for 30 days. In 2007, I believe it was. So there were little snippets of success, wild success that you would see. But remember, they were not consistent and they were not like, it wasn't easy for me. I'll just put it that way. Everything that I ever had to go through was because of what we call ganbatte in Japanese is an anthem for always do your best. Always give them your best. And I just remembered never, ever giving somebody a half-assed job on anything. My first book agent told me, you won't get a book, Candice, until you have your own show. Sorry. Then I called him. I'm like, hey, Kirby, my co-hosts on Cook Yourself Thin both got book deals. And he's like, well, then you're going to get a book deal. And then he brought me. So remember, if people tell you no, or they pass on you, you can prove them wrong, number one. Number two, you can definitely go back and say, here's why I should be writing a book. And you can definitely shift your own paradigm by putting it out there and saying, I know I can do this. I need you to just fucking believe in me. Mm-hmm. And that little fire inside of me that came from my Japanese mother and my Polish American, like super grit, hardworking father kept shining, because you can't dim somebody's light when you see it. So then I write Pretty Delicious. It does pretty well. I'm with Rodale. I move on and I start writing the Clean Green Drinks, Clean Green Eats books, Cook Yourself Sexy. That one I try to leave out because the title is terrible.
Oh, no, honey.
And then I'm with everybody at this point. So that's Random House, that's Rodale, that's Hyperion. And now I'm with HarperCollins proudly.
How do you get around book places? Like, what happens?
Well, everybody gets a different deal at different times, and
they reach out to you.
Contract. No, I mean, I have a literary agent. Okay. So I've had three in the past, and my current literary agent, Eve Atterman, is amazing. And I love Kirby too. He was like a bro. He was one of the first agents that was really hard on me, actually. He was Korean. He was born and raised in Korea and came over here with his single mother. And he really reminded me of how special it was to be Asian, which I want everybody to know. I was not proud to be Asian until the last few years of my career. I wish that I looked like you guys. I wish I looked like everyone else. And I always wanted to fit in. And I always felt insecure about being different and being a mixed kid. And it like, I can still feel like the tears in the back of my head right now as we're talking about this. It has been a fucking painful journey of letting people stop pigeonholing me and stop judging me on the way that I look and start looking at the content. And so modeling was great. And it was really nice that I looked different because I was able to learn how to hustle and be a strong businesswoman. But then I started having these really iconic people. Like during, I judge on Iron Chef America, and I had a couple of different really high up like chefs. Like Yan Can Cook would be like, Candice, you are Japanese. You need to be proud. Because his wife was Japanese and he understood the culture. And then I had people that would, like Al Roker became a mentor. I started working with people like Ariana Huffington, and I write for Girl Boss with Sophia Amoruso and her team. And people like James Higa started showing up. And this wasn't coincidental. And even though, remember, Food Network passed on me, my first book agent told me I could never write books. I have 6 published books now. I've done it all on my own. I didn't need a fucking TV show or a network to back me. In fact, all those people can blank my blank because they don't know.
Kiss my ass if you guys didn't know.
Probably something
Krista's words.
More inappropriate than that. But I'm trying to like hold back on the profanities because I've been like laying them out lately.
Yo, part of growing up that's great is cussing and no one's telling you no.
Yeah.
I was saying that the other day. I was like, oh, I was cussing and I'm like, damn, no one's saying don't cuss to me. I'm cussing. I'm 30 and I'm cussing.
Almost 30.
I'm almost 30 and I'm cussing.
Hey, I'm proud of you, girl. Let it out. It's true. I mean,
but also we feel the passion. I mean, I feel like even just meeting you today, like you feel the intensity of like what you've had to go through and grow through to get to where you are. I mean, and it's not fair. A lot of it isn't fair, but
girl,
I mean, you wouldn't be where you are today if it was easy.
And the men, if we could just take a moment to commend all the women who've made it over the last few years. Every accolade on the back of the book is by a female, by the way. There's Sophia, there's Ariana, there's the U.S. Japan Council head, Irene, whose husband was a huge public figure, I believe the former governor of Hawaii also. And then I chose to put Michelle Promuleko, my editor-in-chief at Cosmo, on there. These are leading women. And this wasn't planned either. This was just how it rolled out. You will find other people that genuinely, in a real way, not in a fake, shitty way, that will genuinely support you. And you need to support them wholeheartedly. Yeah. You will show up to their events. You will show up with bells on. You will go out and buy their book. You will write the pieces for their magazines for free. And you will put your head up high and put your best face on. And I'd like to think now that I'm like in my 30s, I look 1,000 times better than I ever did in my 20s. And it's because I actually take better care of myself now. And I haven't chosen to settle down because number one, I haven't met the right guy. And although I've been dating a lot, I sort of took a break. Like actually really recently, I was like, this book is so precious to me. Kintsugi Wellness is a baby that took 3 years to put together with my own mother and about 10 trips to Japan. I interviewed people that survived the war. I interviewed the elderly. I interviewed people that have been at the same job for 80 or almost 90 years. Or not like...
I know what you mean.
You know, yeah. They're not 90 years, but like, okay, 70 years at the same job is probably more accurate, maybe a little more. I interviewed my grandmother's best friend, Shizuko, who's 96. I interviewed my family, and I learned a lot about what it meant to have real resilience and what real wellness was. And real wellness wasn't about what we look at now. Like, I hate to say this, but it's not about all the classes that we take and the mesh yoga pants and the charcoal lemonades. It's about resilience. It's about gratitude. It is about being of service to others. And it's about being fucking real. And if you can't be real, how could you ever be well?
Of course.
Love that.
Well, I think it manifests itself in your body. You see it. If you're like holding back, you're, you know, not speaking your truth or not being yourself, you'll see it flare up in other ways. Can we talk about that? You mentioned it briefly, that breakup that kind of after this book was kind of born after that. Because I know a lot of our listeners are either going through something like that or in transition or have been. So we'd love to just like your real take on what happened and or how you rose up after, you know, something like that. Really kind of shut you down.
Okay, so to preface the next stages in the career that led up to the breakup, and that in sharing this story, let's preface that this isn't where I am anymore lingering.
Yeah.
When we share our tough and traumatic times, we will be able to allow others to feel that sense of relatability and saying, oh, I didn't know others hurt like I did. I didn't know that Candice wore a mask for 10 years. I didn't know that she held back her tears and put on a brave face because she didn't want people to know what happened to her, because I lived in fear and shame after this person did this to me. And now I don't blame the person for anything. I wish them the best, and I cannot wait to meet the man of my dreams. I'm very excited for the opportunity to meet the right person now. And if it wasn't for that, I tried to make everything work. And when it didn't, it was sort of like the ultimate battle with myself. Like, why isn't this working? Like, it was so great at this one point. And acceptance and allowing and letting go is some of the most graceful work that we can do in our lifetime. So I moved to New York to be a writer after I started getting a lot of book deals. And I wrote for many magazines. I had online columns at Men's Health, Women's Health. I had a column at Shape and Men's Fitness. And then I was on the masthead at both of those magazines as their food editor at large. I went to every event. I hosted shows on E! I hosted shows for TLC, for Discovery Channel, I was on like a talking head on cooking channel shows, and then also judged on Iron Chef America and Beat Bobby Flay. So I did a lot of media, and most of it was unpaid. I was a regular on the Today Show, regular on Dr. Oz still to this day. And actually Mehmet Oz is one of my greatest mentors in my career, an incredible person with a devout background and an incredible family behind him. What I learned after being a writer was, you know, people would send me an assignment and say like, today we want you to write about how to cook for more sex and, you know, for the Men's Health reader. And I was like, all right. And that was really fun in my 20s. But now that I have shifted and I've gone through life and I've had people seriously virtually chew me up and spit me back out, slap me around and throw me around. We were saying that living in New York is slightly masochistic, where you actually really like or tolerate pain well. And so the darkness of New York really started to cover up my life. I started dating the wrong men. I partied a lot. I probably went out with the wrong people. And I was always trying to like be somebody I really truly wasn't. Because at the end of the day, I'm silly. I'm goofy. I love my glasses. I like my mom. I like hanging out with my mom. I think she's the coolest person in the world. She's like, you are always around here bothering me and your father. We need our own time, okay? By the way, you leave a mess here for me to clean up. So we made those cookies for you guys this morning together.
God.
Mom made them too.
Mom
made them too. She's like, I'm going to measure this out. I was like, Mom, fuck the measuring. Just throw the shit in there. I'm like, we got to go. So she's so Japanese. She teaches Japanese language still down in San Diego. Wow. Culture, language, all of it. 2 different schools. I met some of her students yesterday at the Hanamatsuri, which is like the Japanese flower festival. We raise funds for the kids every year for their school, for extracurricular work and things like that. And it was so amazing seeing other mixed kids that were really little. And now it's putting together all these pieces of like what my calling is and why I'm doing this work. So back to the boyfriend split magazine thing. So one of my editors at one of the men's mags, like we grew fond of each other because that happens when you work closely with other people that you're attracted to. And so we started like chilling on the side, and then before you knew it, like we were dating, and it was good. It was fun, and we had a great time. And he moved in, and we had a cute cat together. And one day after a few years, and we had talked about marriage and all that as well. I'd visited his family and vice versa. He lost his job and he lost his visa, and he fucking went behind my back and bought a ticket to fly home and showed up at our apartment one day and gave me 30 minutes or less to tell me that he was leaving on a plane that day. And I collapsed on the floor. I was sweating and crying, and so was he. It was like one of those hot, sticky New York days. Oh my God. And I remembered he went to go pick up socks to start frantically packing his last things. And I remember knocking them out of his hands. And I said, sit down right now. Like, please sit and give me like 5 minutes. And at this time, it was like the sweat had mixed in with the tears. Yeah. It was profoundly a moment in my life in which I look back on and say, I don't know how you got through that. But I had enough grace after he really low blow explained himself to walk him downstairs, and I watched him get into a cab on Wall Street, and the cab door closed, and he drove away, and he rolled his window down, and he looked back at me, and then this like truck or something came and blocked the view, and my life from that moment forward, and this is a few years ago now, but it was absolutely never, ever, ever the same again. And I looked at things different for a long time. And I was, I
know.
For anybody out there listening that's going through this now, this is going to be really, really cathartic for you.
Yeah. So good. Yeah.
I called his mom and I said, why did he do this? Did you know, like, what is going on? And I felt betrayed immediately. People went and did things behind my back that I trusted. And they did it in my own like apartment. And the next day, a lot of people don't know this, but Clean Green Eats came out at the Deepak Shopper Center. I had the launch party the next day. So we're talking less than 24 hours later. I had to get up and speak in front of 200 strangers, colleagues, publishers, magazine editors, you name it, and give a speech at the Deepak Shopper Center. And my girlfriend, Kristen Arnett, was my moderator. Thank God. Yeah, literally. Almost thank God. Yeah. Thank God that my whole team was there. One of my assistants at the time wrote an email to everybody and said, I don't know if you guys know this. I don't want you to tell anybody, but Candice's boyfriend left her, and it would be really good if you showed up tonight. And people came, and I said, you do not cry. And it was very autopilot, as my friend Michelle would say. You probably went into autopilot and you just gave it your all. And if I can get through that, that means that you can get through anything. I had a trip to Japan also planned right after that. So I got on that flight and I flew to Okinawa first. And I remember just like being there and being the saddest I had ever been in my life. And some people still didn't know what happened. And they were like, hey, do you guys want to go to this party together?
Of course.
That will happen for a while. That'll for many people.
And so then, we never reached out to you after?
There was an ostracizing moment where we watched him, like I didn't, but I stopped posting on all social for about a week because I was in shock. And he landed wherever he landed in Europe and started posting pictures of him doing yoga. And I remember being in the garage with my dad. I was like, Dad. Because of course, after you have a breakup, you fly to your parents' house. That's just what you do. And I remember dropping off my cat, seeing my dad, my best friends there that had both been through traumatic breakups, picked me up, sat me down on a lawn by the lagoon in Carlsbad. And they were like, tell us what happened. Like, talk to us about everything. Those are good friends. You're going to start seeing who your friends are, and you're going to start seeing the reality of how dark life can really get. And the reason why I wrote Kintsugi was you'll start to see there's an analogy to what Kintsugi is that is the metaphor and anthem to your life. So they dropped me off to Dad, and Dad's like, the next day I woke up and I got ready for my flight from LAX to Tokyo, and he's like, what? Instagram? What? Who cares? And he like got really mad because I kept trying to tell him like I couldn't believe that he started posting immediately. It was disgusting.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show you though, like how shallow some people are and how important the unimportant things are to certain people. Like I really try to distance myself from those kinds of people now because they don't make you feel good and they make you question everything that you ever stood for. Like, was that relationship even real to this person? Did they value the fact that we carried a great relationship for many years? And you know what? It's okay. At the end of the day, everything is actually okay. We're all looking for one thing, and it's freedom. And it's freedom from all things that hurt and all the pain and all the ugly and the bad and the fake. And I feel like when he did that, he actually set me free. And that's the kicker that you don't see. My light was so bright, he probably couldn't handle it. And I wasn't going to dim for anybody. I want to end up with a guy who's a fucking badass, like just as good, if not more, so we can be teammates.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for.
Who sees you and is like inspired by you, but still can stand in his light comfortably and like just.
And I will be there for him. 1,001%. Biggest cheerleader. Like you go get it and you go crush it. And I know people that have found that, and I feel so grateful for them because that's what I'm not ultimately looking for, but that would be the ideal relationship to carry. Right now, I'm really focused on Kintsugi Wellness as becoming this next level wellness journey. People need to stop looking at the exteriors of wellness, like signing up for this class or what kind of mat you're on, or they need to stop looking at stuff that's kind of like, how do you say, surfacey,
basic, I guess.
Basic's a great word. But that was that's it in a nutshell. And it was really, really bad, but at the same time great because I feel good. I wouldn't have written an amazing book if it wasn't for that time. And the chapters throughout the book, Kintsugi, which is the art of golden repair, which is what you are when you're broken. The Japanese see certain objects as such value that they'll put them back together with golden lacquer and a golden powder. And that's what the book cover is it's like a glistening gold.
We interrupt this episode to bring you a word from our sponsor, Your Super. Let us make your life easier. Your Super is a brand, a team, a husband and wife team, Crystal and Michael, who have created a product with the nutritional power of fresh produce and the convenience of supplements. We're just in awe of their story. Michael was diagnosed with cancer at the young age of 24, and Crystal made it her mission to help Michael rebuild his immune system. They learned how important it was to fuel their bodies with a whole food diet. So they made homemade mixes of superfood powders, and immediately he felt energized, happier, and increasingly aware. We just wanted to introduce you and give you more options to hopefully up-level your life. Right now, I am currently obsessed with the Your Super Natural Beauty Bundle. It's the beauty bundle. If you go to shop on yoursuper.com, this beauty bundle has the Power Matcha, the Forever Beautiful, and the Energy Balm. Obsessed. They're so good. They're not gritty. It doesn't leave a weird aftertaste. All whole ingredients. I'm obsessed. So this will take care of your skin, hair, and nails. But they have tons of different mixes for your specific needs. So visit yoursuper.com, yoursuper.com. You can use our code almost30. Forget this, 30% off. And what's so great about Your Super is that they give back. So you buy your favorite Your Super mix, and a nutrient-rich bar is donated to malnourished children around the world who need it most. So as of now, they've donated almost 38,000 bars to children. So we love them. Yoursuper.com. Use our code almost30. This episode is also brought to you by Silver Fern. I am a new woman when I take my probiotics, period, the end. Okay, I've noticed a difference. I was away for a few days. I didn't bring my probiotics because I'm a mutant. So when I got home, I immediately started taking them. I was regular. I didn't feel bloated. It was actually shocking. And I will never not take them again. And my brand is Silver Fern. We love Silver Fern. We can trust them. It has 100% survivability, which I didn't know is an important thing when buying probiotics. It is pharmaceutical grade, DNA verified, and we just love it. It works. I am also obsessed with the Endurance Energy pre-workout mix. So like the term pre-workout sometimes freaks people out. Like they think they're just going to rocket to the moon. This is a very even, kind of like slow building energy mix, and there's no shit in it. And then they just released their plant-based organic protein. So they've chosen only the best sources and quality ingredients for their organic protein powder. So it has organic pea protein, sunflower protein, sacha inchi, organic koi seed, quinoa powder, hemp protein, and it also has a gut health component. So it has probiotics in it as well, which I've never had before in a protein powder. So you're getting bang for your buck. We are obsessed with this brand. Silverfernbrand.com is where you can go shop around, see what you need. And you can use our code almost30, ALMOST30 for 15% off. And they also have an education tab on their website, which I highly recommend. The more you know. You can also listen to our episode with Charity Lighton, who is on the Silver Fern team. And it was an incredible episode. Lots of insight on gut health and how it's connected to brain health and beyond.
What about that? Like, so that was, I can only imagine how painful and traumatic that was. What about that helped you to more closely align with creating this book and like doing the messages that you want?
Well, I love this question because here's the truth and an answer. I didn't know.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Like I told you guys before when we started chatting, my CPA was like, what happened this year? And I said, that was the year where everything just broke. That was the worst year. And it showed financially too, as a small business owner, that when you're broken, you're not going to be able to monetize like your content or your work or your best self. And it will show in your small business. And I didn't want that. As a Japanese American, I want my mother and father to be really proud of me. I want all of you too to see the realness in being broken. So what happened was I had written Clean Green Drinks and Clean Green Eats did really well. And then I was like running into HarperCollins with a new proposal, like, holding my shit together at this point. Like it had been enough time had passed where I was like, I'm going to get back out there and I'm going to kill this. And at a certain point, you stop thinking about dating because it's like more important to work on yourself and to put back together your pieces in order for you to be a great, great partner for somebody new one day. And so my editor, Julie, was like, Candice, you are not writing Clean Green Wellness and you're not writing Clean Green and Clear, which was my Curing Your Acne book idea. She's like, you're going to write your Japanese book. Wow.
I was like, I'm Japanese. You're like, how'd she know?
Exactly. Sitting there with a tray of cookies in front of me, of course. I mean, it's customary in Japanese culture to show up with a gift.
So sweet. So sweet.
Juicy. And I was like, what? I was like, I'm not going to write the Japanese book. What are you talking about, you crazy person? I just had a breakup, like whatever was on my mind. And then I was like, okay. And like that day, I had to go back home and rewrite a new proposal for her. And I was like, oh my God, you are not in your 20s anymore. And you're not like the girl on Top Chef. And you're not the girl that's going to almost make it on a Food Network. Like you have a new calling that was forced. My hand was forced because people told me no. Thank God too, right? The breakup, the jobs ending, the pilot never getting lit, the Lifetime people telling me that I was too pretty and thin and cool, all of the no's and the bad things helped me to stand back on my feet and say, you know what? Falls down 7 times, stand up 8, because that's what the Japanese do. And we work with Kaizen, which is continuously improving our brand, our lives, our motto. So you will get back up and you will do better than you did over the last few years. Each book I write will be better than the last. Absolutely 1,001%. You better fucking believe it. Because I would be damned if I put something out there that I wasn't wholeheartedly proud of. And not to mention this book, in writing this, as I was writing the new proposal for her, this book had to be an anthem of strength and unity. And it had to be for my parents, and it had to be honorable for the Japanese, because this is a nation that has endured more resilience and more horrors of war than any other nation. And let me say, many nations have undergone the horrors of war. My family just happens to come from Poland and Japan, which are 2 countries that have seen the most suppression throughout the war, if not some of the most, because there are many countries that went through horrible things. If we think that not getting a big Instagram following, or somebody sending you a snap, or like not being invited to someone's party or not going to someone's wedding is the biggest deal in the world, we need to rethink what trauma and horrible, like terrible things really are. Because when I went and interviewed people that survived World War II into their 80s, these were people sharing their stories with me that their own grandchildren had never heard. And then sadly, Nobu-san, who we interviewed in Okinawa, passed away really shortly after our interview. And I thought, this is what wellness is. What wellness is being resilient when you see American troops showing up and telling you, the Japanese were telling the Okinawans, the Americans are going to kill you. And then the Americans knew that the Japanese would kill the Okinawans if they didn't adapt to Japanese culture. There's so much history behind everything. And Okinawa was berated, like they were overtaken by Japan and then the US and then later returned to Japan. But they were their own nation at one point. So they went through massive resilient changes and what we call shikata ga nai. It cannot be helped. It's a Japanese anthem and a chapter in the book about letting it go, because a lot of things just can't be helped. So you're going to have to come to the realization that you're going to have to adjust your sails. You're not going to see other people do it for you. As you're just saying, Krista, the networks are never going to change. And those, sorry to say this, but old white men at the top, they're not going to change either. It's like stale old bread.
Yeah, it is like stale old bread, honestly.
Truly. But speaking of the art form, I feel like just the culture itself is just so centered around art form. Like, so how have you kind of translated into the book, like the art form of nourishing your body, of eating well, of, being resilient?
So my grandfather was an impressionist painter throughout Japan, and my aunt Kyoko Kumai is, she has a permanent collection at the MoMA. She does steel wool tapestry, and then she also is a professor out in Tokyo. I came from a family of artists, and to deny that part of my childhood and upbringing and heritage was because as American kids, we're born to think that if we're immigrants or we're different, that we don't fit in and we're not cool, we're not going to be accepted. So what Julie, my editor, did was she forced me to write a book that was always in me, and it was always in my family, and it was supposed to be me carrying a legacy through while helping the next generation. Like millennials and Gen Y are all me. Like I'm like, I am a pioneer for this generation to watch in real life, in real time. And I see that and I take it on with great honor. And I will be a good example and a real one at that for all women to watch, because it's incredible to see the progress. But what happened was I didn't know what the chapters were going to be. So I love answering the question of like, how did you know how to write this book? Because I didn't. It took me being broken. It took me shaming myself for what happened. It took me losing my faith in New York and the work that I did. It took me losing faith in the wellness industry, like clickbait, money, power, greed, beauty. These were the things that we were basing wellness off of. No, not when I went to Japan and I sat in the dirt in the caves with mosquitoes all over my body. And my sister and I were in the biggest fight ever in the middle of a sweltering summer, looking at where Okinawans had to hide during the war through a historian's like one day he just took us to all the battle sites and all the caves. And these are not pretty caves. These are caves that will make you remember what it was like to die somewhere and to have your last breaths living in fear and hiding in a cave from everyone. Just imagine what these people had to go through. And when I went to Hiroshima, I learned about how the entire town now is an offering of kintsugi in itself. The entire town is an art form that is rebuilt. It's from the strength of a nation. And what's so honorable about the Japanese is they welcome the new while cherishing the old. And as a Japanese American, while writing this book, I figured out I can write about what I grew up with and what I learned over the last 10 years in Japan from a Japanese American girl's perspective. I am my mother's daughter, a storyteller. She will never tell you what happened to her country. The Okinawans that were put into the internment camps will never tell you what happened to them. But when we learn, we can share. And this shit is real. You can't make up gaman, which is with great resilience. You can't make up shikatakanai. It cannot be helped. You cannot make up wabi-sabi, celebrating imperfection, because these are traits that the nation possessed for centuries. And it is part instilled into who they are ingrained as Japanese people. So James and I once spoke about being a bridge. And so see that as a next step into your life. You're a bridge. We all are. You're a messenger. We all are. And there's something inside of you that you're going to be able to help other people. And that's a term in Japan called osetai, is being of service to others. So when millennials and Gen Ys see their careers shaped while helping others, we tend to find a lot more gratitude and meaning behind our work. And that's why Kintsugi Wellness became this book that will change the game. And I took a lot of chances, and my mother helped me to translate it. And I had editors in Tokyo, and I learned how to cook under a Japanese chef instructor in Tokyo. And she actually used to write for Gourmet in the New York Times. And she sat me down in Tokyo one day and she's like, I need us to organize your book. So it had gone through many phases. And she's like, it's awesome, but it's like a journey. And you're going to have to pick your like 10 favorite words. And you're going to just go with that. And as a chef, I couldn't deny the recipes. I mean, that's a whole nother chapter of being another bridge. Like cooking Japanese food with California elements was my childhood. And I denied it because it was like, again, like when traumatizing things happen to you, like a lot can come up. And so when that ex left me, there was shame and guilt and trauma. Like, what did I do? Like, what could I help? And as a kid, I felt that a lot. You know, like, why are they making fun of me? Like, I feel this big. Like, what can I do to change? Like, how can I fit in? How can I get them to love me? And I think that is where I told myself, enough. And every train ride in Japan, tears would come out. And I was sealing my own golden cracks without realizing it. And now I have the honor of sharing my story. And I never ever thought in a million years I would be sitting here talking to you ladies
like
or to, ever. No, girl, you are the cutest. And this is a really honorable day because you are my audience and it's not middle America. It never has been. I'm not going to fucking change who I am for them. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Let it be the podcasts that end up changing a new generation because God bless you guys for being you. Because when you are yourself, you are shining. And when you shine, you allow everyone else to be their best self and come just as you are. I mean, I might look fabulous for you today, but I definitely don't look super fab like every day, you know, like
every day. You mentioned something too, speaking of looking fab, about now you feel more comfortable in your skin and you feel like your self-care routine is on point. What is that now? Like, what does that look like that's making you feel so good?
Wow, this is a great question. So it's cool. Like, what is complimentary in your mid-30s is when people are like, oh my God, like you look amazing. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like I was buying a J-Lo jumpsuit at Guess for the Wendy Williams show like last week. And the girl was like, how old are you? I was like, I'm not going to tell you, but
how old do you think?
Yeah. Exactly. And she was dying because she's like, wow, you look so amazing. And I'm like, well, I work out, so I do bar method, pure bar, or yoga. And the yoga is like yoga sculpt. Sometimes I do spin classes. So like there's always soul or flywheel. And I do meditation every day because I don't want to harbor on anger or bad things. And I'm really letting go of all these things that happened to me through childhood, people teasing me, people treating me like crap, like all of that. And I also unfollowed a lot of people I just don't really like anymore.
Love that.
And that will change through the years. You're going to notice like, does this person really support me? Does this person like my work? Would this person go out and buy my book? If the answer is no, and it could be anything for you. It could be just like, does this person make me feel good? Does this person make me feel like I'm capable and well? And if the answer is no, I just unfollow. I have a great little cat that I've had since college, and I love animals. I think they're the best thing in the world. I only hang out with my friends that make me feel good. I'm starting to like let go of the people that just don't make me feel good anymore.
It's such a huge part of wellness. I think people can be doing all the things. They can be drinking the green juice. They could be going to the workouts. They can be getting these treatments and that. But if you don't have authentic connections, if you are not taking time for yourself, if you know, it's like that secret sauce that no one's really talking about. And also, I can imagine like after that breakup and after that period in your life, it was like a regeneration of like mind, body, soul. Like, so no wonder you look and feel younger and more vibrant. Like it's almost like that life, that chapter was like put to rest and you're able to just like be you and completely kind of new. But it shows. It totally shows.
Oh my God, you guys are going to make me cry. You also took a deep breath in the middle of that. And I think that's another thing that we need to do is we need to breathe. And I want to be...
Yeah. True, but we do it all the time on air.
We do.
We always breathe.
Yeah. I had a listener come up to me and she was like, I love your podcast because I always remember to breathe.
Yeah, we breathe. Yeah, just because also our minds are like running so hard that like we forget that like, I mean, we're sitting down with you, right? And we have whatever was coming up this week and our minds could be starting to wander, but that deep breath just brings us like right back here. And like, 'cause we don't want to miss anything that we're doing. It's like, it's so special. I think
one of the greatest wellness practices I've learned, and also I don't call myself this, but Elle Magazine called me the Golden Girl of Wellness. And that's a title where people are like, God, it couldn't be more perfect because I'm from Cali. I wrote this book on golden repair. I don't know how everything started to align.
Yeah.
But one thing that I really want to say that I think girls will relate to is part of wellness means being a real person and being a kind person. You can't practice yoga one day and show people a million different things you're doing for self-care and then be rude and mean and thoughtless for others. And there are other people in this industry and they are, they probably know who they are and they're not nice. And me and my friends like Kat Tanita and stuff, we talk about it and it hurts our feelings because they're like cliquey or they think they're better than everyone else. And for any of you, I once had a photographer on my team come to me crying and I said, girl, what is going on? And she's like, I just can't be a part of this like club. Like all these photographers on Insta like are in a pod or ring together. And I've been offered to be in many of them, but I don't do them anymore because quite frankly, my time is better spent writing, creating content, creating recipes, spending time with my family, like going on dates, like being with friends, laughing, joking, going to, make these cookies for you guys. My time is better spent doing real life shit. And so I worry and pray for the people that have been mean to me for the last like decade of my career. Some of the girls in my mind stand out like recent. What's weird is when I meet other women like us that are real, they go, oh my God, that's happened to me too with the same person.
Oh yeah, I've done the same thing.
Yeah.
It's really rude.
Had the same convo.
Yeah.
And I hope that this message can get back to them, like wake up and start living real life.
Yeah.
Because now with the glorious algorithms, you don't have to post every day.
Yeah.
You just have to be a good person to the core.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what that means, my God, I will pray for you, but please go out and do something for others. Find a purpose other than posting like stories all the time. Find a purpose and volunteer at a shelter, volunteer at a soup kitchen, help the Boys and Girls Club, go work for a charity. I work with City Harvest, the Salvation Army. My father volunteers at the Boys and Girls Club and a soup kitchen. My mother works for all the kids for the Japanese schools. And I work with the U.S. Japan Council, the Japan Society, the Resolution Project, City Harvest, which I think I mentioned, and the Dr. Oz's Health Corps and Wellness in the schools. And all this, what it does is it's a cycle of watching the older generation and generations that are much older that are running the charities, see people and women like us joining and saying, oh my God, thank God that these girls have altruistic hearts and philanthropic souls because it will help the next generations. And if you really care about wellness, then you'll take time to look inside of yourself and take your mask off and start being a real person, because that is what wellness truly is at the end of the day. It's doing bad things and doing good things, and ultimately trying your very best and accepting that everybody else is doing their best as well. So I pray for those people, and I hope that they will see that you don't really know what people are going through every day. So it really is best to just be kind.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah. We've had that too.
Yeah. Well, I think as women too, it's just kind of, it's a default setting for a lot of people, I think, to be judgmental, to just like look at, I don't know. It's when they're not as evolved, it's like, I don't know.
Do you think that's really what it is, you guys?
Podcast, I feel like with the podcast too, like it would be really hard for me to not be myself if you met me. For how many hours? I mean, if someone has listened to Almost 30 from the beginning, you have heard me for a week, 2 weeks. Honestly, you've heard me. Like it'd be hard for me to be fake. That's why I love podcasting so much, is because I can get on an Instagram story and I could turn on music and I could be like, this is me and it's Sunday and in my pajamas for 20 seconds.
It's so true.
You can't hide on a podcast.
And you don't need to be fabulous looking because it's not about materialistic physical beings. It's about the content and it's about the message and it's the storytelling and the more real connections that we have through the pods. Like all I did with Rosie Acosta the other day was we just laughed the whole time and made fun of everything. And and then like with Sahara Rose, it was like, oh wow, like we're the same, like we are discriminated against and we both didn't know until we started sharing our stories, and it's okay. Like those women, I want you guys to know they always exist. And I'm a 5'8", former model who's half Japanese and has written many books, and people are still not nice to me every day, all day, on email, in person, in real life. I get told no all the time. And I have a lot of insecurities that I work on to try to keep my confidence up, because it looks like from my Instagram account that I'm the most confident, powerful, like beautiful person. And in actuality, everyone's highlight reel is on Insta. And we have to realize that this isn't about comparison anymore. For someone like us, it's about a business, strictly. And if you're smart, like one day I want all of us to talk about biz, because I think that's where you guys are opening up a platform for young women to watch. And I commend you both, Krista and Linz, for following your heart and your minds and the way you met, and for taking your masks off. Because if more women were real like both of you, I think people would feel a lot more comfortable in just pajamas and a hair up in a pony and being like, fuck it, I'm going to eat cookie dough all day and watch Shark Tank in bed.
Yeah.
And think about like, how did Mark Cuban get to where he is?
I love
that
him.
Is the truth.
I think sometimes too with people not being friendly is, I think sometimes they think because I'm so nice that I'm dumb. So it's like,
you are so nice and not dumb at all.
Yeah, exactly.
And
so
really,
like, if I am
fool,
really sweet
right?
and very nice at first, they kind of think I'm dumb. You know, so that's, I feel like happens too, is where people have like a guard up and they think that being reserved or not reserved is the wrong word, being closed off is kind of a sign of being smarter than someone, you know, because you're kind of, it's not cool to be nice or funny or it's not cool to be really friendly sometimes.
Yeah, they think you're faking it for their benefit. And you're like,
no. That's neither.
I will
here nor there.
say, to your point, my friend Marcella and I have talked about this. She's a highly talented graphic artist who actually helped me to create the Japanese maps and the watercolor in the book. And when you flip through the pages, you'll see kimono art. That's actually the kimono that my grandmother gave my mother before she left Japan for the US. And Marcella and I changed it into a watercolor fabric. So that's the map she created. So what her and I talked about, where James is from.
James, I was going to say James is from Okinawa.
So
James is going to be so happy that we said his name so many times.
This podcast is dedicated to James Higa, our kind of man.
It is.
All right, number one, numero uno, Ichiban. So what's so interesting is Marcella and I are both pretty darn good at what we do. Both of us. I can write well. I can execute recipes. And now I know how to photograph my own content and actually produce and direct. Yeah.
Dang,
I actually
do
photograph
everything.
the whole book.
That is what's so
Dang,
impressive.
Honey, your pictures are fucking insane.
It's
You're
insane.
so nice.
You do everything, but that's the thing. You learn all the skills. You learn all the motherfucking
you have
skills.
to learn them. You're right. But what we both saw was that people were taking advantage of us because we're nice. And we are really good at what we do. And then they would take advantage of her and I. Like there are photographers and food stylists over the years who've been really mean to me. And Marcella one day, who would never, ever yell, was like, you better tell them to stop treating you this way. They're doing it and they know they're doing it. And they're doing it because they're trying to take advantage of your niceness. And you are not going to allow them to do that anymore. And the way that you can do that as an independent is to never hire them again and learn from it. So that's kind of, the book is a collaboration of everything I've learned. Whether I wanted to learn it or not wasn't my choice.
Yeah. So until Chloe's managing us and she could be mean to people for us.
Chloe's
we
our
just need
producer.
a manager
Our producer.
Our
Oh, wow. Have her come to the party.
She'll be there. She'll
be there. She'll be
the best.
She'll be on a leash.
And we need to give some of these away. We do.
Absolutely.
To somebody juicy.
Our girls would love that.
It's such a good, heartfelt, like we want it to be a perennial book.
On a more surface level, Japanese food, like what are the health benefits of Japanese food? Like what's some of the why would someone want to cook some of these amazing Japanese ingredients?
And good question. So the book is self-help plus we knew that nourishment was part of self-care. So as a former chef, and still like a chef, but writer now, I had to put 50 Japanese calorie recipes in there. So here's what we know about Japanese culture. The longest living female just passed away very recently at 117. Whoa. And she lived south of Tokyo. And it was hard to watch the video because she looked like my grandma right before she passed away. Grandma lived till she was 96 and she didn't walk or talk at the end, but my mom and I went and held her hand at the hospital every day before she passed. And it was during the breakup. So it was really hard to have somebody on the other side of the world like not care that I was going through that at all.
Yeah.
And all we did was hold her hand. And I remembered seeing the window with the rain, because rainy season in Japan is like summer, and looking at the mountains and thinking like true wabi-sabi is found in these moments of grievances where it's not all going to be beautiful. And there's also a Japanese tome called Mono no Aware, which means accepting the pathos and darkness and sad times in life. So the Japanese are raised with these mindsets already because they got a bad deal as far as geographically speaking, earthquakes, tsunamis, really bad sweltering, storms. First and foremost, they changed their mindset, which is what you'll learn in the book, ancient wise. They practice things like harahachibu, which means after you're 80% full, you'll know. It's kind of like having an orgasm. You'll know.
Yeah.
You'll just know.
Literally, I'm like 80?
I'll help you.
Or like to go 180?
120?
Add 100 to that.
Shikatakanai. It cannot be helped. Okay, so harahachibu, 80%. You stop eating. Okay. Before you eat your meal, you say itadakimasu. And it means I accept this meal. Let's eat. I celebrate everybody that was part of it. At the end of the meal, you say gochisousama deshita. It thanks and pays tribute and gratitude to everybody who was part of the meal and the chef or the mom or the dad who cooked or could partner, anybody, your cat. And then we eat a lot of fermented foods by nature. So there's soy sauce, there's natto, and there's miso, which I encourage everybody to start cooking with miso paste now. And they eat a lot of sea veggies, vegetables, fruits, and their sweets are not too sweet. Like yesterday, we made shaved ice with adzuki beans and matcha powder that's all a little sweetened. And it's called kintoki. And we had it, and it just brings back these really vibrant childhood memories. And if you want to talk about real matcha, I know my family goes back many generations and they taught me about matcha powder at a young age. The benefits in matcha include antioxidants, vitamin C, L-theanine, which helps you to stay focused and chill while having a little spurt of caffeine that's streamlined. So it's not jolty like coffee. So for all those boys who like microdosing and shit, you don't even need to do that anymore, guys. You can just drink matcha.
Wow. Yeah.
It's like ancient shit that like, I'm telling you, when I revealed what I learned over the years from the monks in Koyasan and Shikoku Island, I learned of eating less meat and more from all the elements that are handed to us. So there's a term in the book you'll learn about called shojin ryori, and it means devotional, harmonious cuisine that the monks eat. It's made with no meat, no animal products, and they use root to leaf, all cooking from all parts, but no meat. So it's not a new thing to be vegan. It's ancient. And our monks teach us a lot when it comes to resilience, toleration, if that's a word, tolerating things. Like they had no heat in the temple in the middle of the cold. And it was so cold when we would do our prayers at 6 a.m. together that I could see my breath come out. And they chanted for an hour every morning in prayer for the rest of the world. And what that means is there's also a realization that the monks have that darkness indeed does exist everywhere. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing the prayers for so long and devotionally. So if you can imagine moving to the mountains, shaving your head because it's a sign of not caring or looking at vanity, and living as a purist, as a monk for the rest of your life, devotionally speaking, that on my scale of wellness is the highest. It's not what we're looking at in the US right now. And I would plea for everybody to please read this book because it will give you perspective on what is important in life. And it is not material things. It is not about getting married. It is not about how hot your husband is. It is not about your Instagram account or your following. It is about who you are and your offerings for others. Because right now, more than ever, people need a sense of relief and they need a sense of fitting in and community. And the Japanese have these incredible practices that we can learn from, and you can take them or leave them. But for the most part, I've seen people read through this with tears, people that have had eating disorders, people that have had suicides in their family, people with family members who are diagnosed with cancer, people that just came off of horrible divorces and breakups. Everyone has been writing to me. And I love that we're doing this pod 2 weeks after the book's out, because it gives me a little bit of a depiction of who's reading it. And it's really a lot of women who are just searching for themselves and for healing and grace. And I pray that everybody is granted serenity and grace. Sometimes life isn't about winning. It's not about the followers. It's not about the success. It's about enduring, being, living, giving, and how gracefully you let go of the things just certainly not meant for you.
Beautiful.
I know.
Good one.
That speaks to, I think, a lot of like what our generation goes through. We hold on so hard to what we think it was going to be and what it should look like and feel like and sound like. And so many of the ailments that we experience, or maybe like some blocks we're having physically or just mentally, spiritually, are rooted in not being able to let go.
It's so true.
It's beautiful. I'm so excited for everyone to read this. We could talk forever.
Truly. I
know.
We truly could.
It's crazy.
This is, we truly could.
We'll do a part 2.
Yeah.
For James.
If we could, that would be amazing. Would you mind?
We'll come to your parents.
Mom has to come.
I would love.
Mom has to come.
Hi, my name is Kumai Sensei, and I'm on the Almost 30 podcast.
Oh my God, I would love her. What's one message you want to leave with our audience of women?
Oof. Devotionally speaking, I would love for you to take time on yourself and to let up on you a little bit and not be so hard on you. And this is advice I need to take.
Yeah.
Like, I have the biggest crush, like I was saying earlier, on this one person right now. And
cannot wait to find out.
I know.
Oh my God, it's so juicy. It's so juicy.
I have this weird sense of
I kind
who
of
it
do
is.
too.
It's weird.
I don't know why.
Are you seeing an aura right now?
I wonder if this is true. This is true.
I'm going to freak out. What? Is it that juicy?
Sorry.
Oh my God,
we just freaked out and the monitor feedback went off again.
It's okay.
No?
Oh, no. He's a close friend.
Damn.
He's a close friend.
Rats.
Okay.
You're pretty darn close, though.
Okay, we'll talk.
Okay.
Well, yeah, we'll talk.
Okay.
We'll see. You never know.
I love this, but I so feel that
so funny.
You're so open and ready, and not in a way that's like superficial and desperate. It's just like you're so in your light and speaking your truth that like I almost like feel him coming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I feel so excited, but I also just feel sometimes bad for women like you guys that are such at a level. There are not as many men that are at a level that you are that can handle. Do you feel like that?
I feel like that.
I feel like that. Like I'm like,
there's some amazing people, but it's a hard,
it's a different type of
connection to
awareness to have that they need to be so grounded in who they are, because they need to hold themselves and hold
space for you.
It's hard.
Yeah. You guys are spot on. It takes a really strong and courageous and confident guy to handle a really all around cool woman. Yep. And I don't want any of you to hinder your greatness or your light, because you're going to find the right guy who will love. I'm only saying this because it's what I've heard, but I've been called a goddess by more men than I can count in my lifetime. And it started very young. Yeah. And it's not just about physical appearance. It's like, even the ones who have said it are like, I can't even handle you.
Yeah, it's that thing they say when they're walking away. And you're like,
yep.
All right.
A lot of mine said I should be a hairdresser. That's what they said to me.
See you later, Krista. You should be a hairdresser.
And it was like, I was born with this hair. It's not like a skill. It's because I had good hair. They're like, hey, hairdresser.
You are so cute. What's your line when they're walking away?
Mine was always like, I could marry you, or we should get married. But then I've only been done
It's a lot of it is me walking away.
Oh,
do you know?
We should talk about that one day.
Yeah.
Another pod, another time,
a
dedicated to James Higa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dedicated to all the men that Lindsay walked away from.
No, it's not even that. It's not me breaking hearts.
Wait
it's
until
just,
it gets juicy.
you know.
Girl, I'm
about
with you. I've done that too.
It's hard because you
done
just
that too.
It is.
Sure.
You have love for them,
you know
and all that, but
absolutely,
you know it's not quite right.
Of course. And remember, let up. And I'm telling that is the one thing in the book you'll learn about kyotsukete, which means take great care. And then you'll also learn about shikatakanai, like it cannot be helped.
Yeah.
So you must let it go.
Yeah. I love that. I'm going to learn those words. I almost want that to be like a mantra for a day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Powerful.
Got that.
Okay, so how can our listeners connect with you?
Yeah, where do they find you?
Plug it.
On the internet. Here we go.
Here we go. Get ready for the giveaway too. We're giving away
So juicy.
3 copies of the book.
Kintsugi Wellness, the Japanese art of nourishing mind, body, and the spirit.
It's the most beautiful book I've ever seen.
It's gonna go on my table.
It's gonna be gorge there. So they can find me. You guys, I'm on Instagram under Candice Kumai, CANDICE. KUMAI. Can't spell my own name today. Also, same spelling for my website, CandiceKumai.com, CANDICE, KUM as in Mary, AI. But you can DM me on Insta. That's usually the best feedback for me, is to see what you think of the book, what you think of the journey, and like just write to me. And I know that your listener is mine, especially on Insta. So I can't wait to see what you guys think. And
oh man, they're
gonna blow you up.
Oh no.
Oh, they will.
No.
Oh, get ready. Honey.
Get ready. They're amazing. Okay, great. We're so excited for you. 2 weeks since the launch. I mean, I feel like this is just the beginning.
It really is. So don't think
happy for you.
it's only when you are 30. Magic just starts to happen the day that
when you decide that magic is going to happen.
And you take your mask off and you tell your truth.
Yeah.
I'm going to take my cystic acne mask off. It's off. I am free.
All right, guys. We love you so much.
Love you.
We know you're just going to
get excited about the giveaway.
About this episode. So join our secret Facebook group. Let's chat about it. And thank you in advance for subscribing, rating, and reviewing. You know it means the world to us. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Candice Kumai, everybody.
What a doll.
What a freaking doll.
She's again, real deal, like super smart, super driven, so sweet. She's like sweeter in person. I mean, she's such an amazing angel.
And she's so smart. So smart. Like always wanting to learn, always learning what she needs to learn in order to move forward.
Yep.
Does that make
100%.
sense?
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes people get like really scared about like diving into something completely new and starting from zero. And she just does it. She puts her head down and does it. So you can get her book, Kintsugi Wellness, now everywhere books are sold. Go onto Amazon. It's easy.
It's gorgeous. It's sitting right here by my front door.
And it's actually on the coffee table.
Oh, yeah. It's a great coffee table book. Me and Justin have been leafing through it.
Oh, yeah? Story time?
Because it's the Japanese element.
Oh, I love that. So cute. You can connect with Candice at CandiceKumai.com or Candice Kumai on Instagram. Yeah, we're pumped, and we'll see you guys on tour. Get ready. We're coming for you. Get freaking ready. We're practicing our choreography now. Can you imagine? If like the beginning of our events.
Yeah, it's actually kind of like my fantasy to sometimes when I'm running to music, I like put on a cool song. I'm like, I wish I could come out to the crowd to this.
Totally.
And I don't mean that in like a Tony Robbins way, like come out to a crowd that's waiting for me.
Because it's ASAP Rocky and it wouldn't be the same, but like.
Yeah, just like that. It'd be really fun to like dance with everyone to like some cool music.
Maybe we will.
Yeah. I love it.
We'll drop down low. All right, guys, we love you. Thanks so much in advance for sharing with your friends and subscribing, rating, and reviewing. You guys are the best. So we will see you next week.